Ode to Aptera, the most efficient vehicle on the planet. Aptera cruising, wingless flight. I love Aptera, it feels so right. Glides down the highway, taking off from the sun. No more drilling, can't you see?
Hello, my name is Rich Rodriguez and welcome to my Aptera journey. This channel is about the thrill of the all-wheel drive Aptera on a twisting, curving mountain road, and the rush of adrenaline with sub-4-second acceleration time, and the pleasure of charging your car from the sun, and on some models, the confidence of up to 1,000 miles of range on a single charge. But we don't have an Aptera yet, but there are some things I would like to share with you today. First, a little about me. I'm a trained electrical engineer. I've designed satellite systems for the U.S. Defense Department and cellular systems for Sprint. I'm an EV owner with over 150,000 miles of real-world experience. I have an MBA in finance. I have formed several companies and have been mentored by an investment banker. In my day job, I underwrite loans up to $15 million, and I read and analyze financial statements every day. What attracts me to the Aptera? The awesome styling, the sub-4-second 0 to 60 acceleration time, and most of all, its amazing efficiency. With those preliminaries done, today's video will have 5 parts. Part 1. Current financial market conditions, because this matters for when Aptera does their IPO. Part 2. Can Aptera have a $700 million plus market capitalization? Part 3. DOE loan program update based on recent comments by Chris Anthony. Part 4. You can now trade Aptera shares, and I'll provide more info for you on that. Part 5. Should Aptera syndicate a Regulation D offering? For my viewers, I have a link down below in the show notes and a QR code up here where you can save 30% off your $100 Aptera refundable pre-order deposit. And as a special thank you for every 10th Aptera referral I receive, I will randomly pick a viewer comment from below and mail that lucky winner a small gift. So if you haven't reserved your Aptera yet, consider doing so today. Save $30, make a comment below, so maybe you will be picked as a lucky winner for a small gift. Thank you. So let's get right into today's show. Part 1. Current financial market conditions. What a volatile month it has been. The 20 bond index that I follow has been down 15 basis points one week and up 22 basis points the next. Volatility equals heightened risk, and that's never a good thing. There was a small window of IPO activity open recently, with ARM Holdings being the most notable, with their $4.9 billion offering and $50 billion valuation. But perhaps a company like Nextracker Inc. is a good IPO example. Nextracker produces solar tracking hardware. They IPO'd at $24 a share and recently traded at $34.63, a 44% return from their IPO price. Perhaps being a green company provided Nextracker some premium. Recently, the 10-year Treasury yield reached 5%, the first time since 2007. The last time U.S. Treasury yields rose so much, it sank the economy twice. I remember this as the double-dip recession of the 80s, and it was not pleasant. While history does not repeat itself, sometimes it rhymes. We know what happened after 2007, the Great Recession. Just saying. We will see how deep this looming recession will be. It's not a good time to go public at the moment, but it's a great time to start and grow a sustainable-oriented startup like Aptera Motors as a long-term investment in the future. Part 2. Can Aptera have a $700 million plus market capitalization? Some of us, like financial returns in addition to doing good for the planet. So let's take a look at some market capitalization scenarios for Aptera. As of the June 30th financial statement from Aptera, they had a total Class B shares issued at the time of a little over 11 million, as you can see on the screen. Subsequent to June 30, the company sold a little over 99,000 shares on crowdfunding platforms and a little over 120,000 shares through Reg D offerings. If we set the price of all these shares to $10.50, the current offering price, then we get a little over $119 million in market capitalization. Well, that's interesting. Let's look at another scenario. Aptera is currently authorized to issue a little over $31.3 million Class B shares. If we take all the shares currently issued, a little over 11.3 million shares, and assume the remainder of all the shares are also issued, and assume a $12.50 C round, then we get a little over $368 million in market capitalization. Well, that is interesting. Let's look at another market cap scenario. Let's assume all the company's Class B shares are issued, a little over 31.3 million shares. If the company is lucky and hits the market at the right time and shares are priced at $25 a share, then we get a little over $780 million in market capitalization. Now let's look at a sales multiple estimate of market cap. We know Aptera has a little over 42,000 of pre-sale reservations. Let's assume the average price of the car is $44,000 for the sake of argument, and that will translate into about $1.8 billion in sales. But it's unlikely every reservation will result in an actual sale. So let's assume a 15% conversion rate. That translates into a little over 6,000 cars and $277 million in revenue. Finally, let's look at a potential sales to stock price ratio. If we assume a 15% sales conversion as we did a moment ago, and a sales to stock price ratio multiplier of 3.5, Tesla's current ratio is about 7, then the market cap would be about $970 million. So I conclude the market cap of the company might be somewhere between $700 and $900 million at the time of IPO. Part 3. DOE loan program update based on recent comments by Chris Anthony. In a recent video linked below, Chris Anthony stated that the DOE loan program may not come through for a while. Chris says, and I quote, "We don't think it's a near-term solution." And he goes on to say, "Our partners at DOE are still shepherding us through." He goes on to say, "We don't think it's a near-term solution. It does take a long time to make it through all the gates. And Chris says it's not the kind of thing that's going to step in and help us with the first 1,000 or 2,000 vehicles, maybe even the 5,000th vehicle. It's kind of a great way to build our second or third plant. So let's break this down. What are the gates Chris is referring to? Well, DOE has a number of criteria linked below and include technical eligibility and financial eligibility. Of the financial eligibility, the most interesting one is financial viability, which includes adequate future sales. A critical element in determining whether a proposed applicant meets the financial viability is if the applicant will be able to achieve sufficient sales to sustain its long-term existence. Adequate future sales are essential to a borrower's ability to repay any DOE loan. To achieve future adequate sales is sometimes referred to as commercially viable or has achieved market acceptance. And to be clear, while I continue to be optimistic, no, confident, that Aptera will receive a DOE loan, it has not yet entered production and demonstrated market acceptance to the level of being commercially viable. So I'm afraid we're going to have to wait for the DOE loan to be awarded, or as Chris says, maybe between the 1,000th and 5,000th vehicle that's sold and on the road. And let's keep Tesla in mind as an example. The original Roadsters started production in March 2008, and in January 2010, Tesla announced the 1,000th Roadster had been produced, a little over 2 years after production had started. And it was in April of 2010 when Tesla received their $465 million DOE loan. Not too long after the 1,000th vehicle had been produced. So I guess we may have to be a little more patient for the DOE loan to get approved. What are your thoughts on Aptera receiving a DOE loan to build out its production capability? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Part 4. We can now trade Aptera shares. As I mentioned in a video earlier, yes, you can now trade Aptera shares, but it's complicated. How does this work? First, you have to register and verify your personal information on the computer share platform where your shares are located now. Then, to buy private stock like Aptera Motors, you'll need to identify and contact a shareholder to make an offer to buy or sell their share. It's possible you won't even be able to make or receive a satisfying offer. This is a highly illiquid market, and so expect significant differences in trading prices. But you can trade shares. And as a side note, I received an offer to buy 1,000 shares on Facebook Messenger. We went back and forth on pricing, and I opted not to consummate that particular offer. When you're thinking about trading your shares, be aware that unlike a traditional stockbroker, there's no trusted person in the middle to execute the trade for you. This means you either have to trust the person you're dealing with, or you'll need to find a trustee, and there'll be trustee fees. Finally, you will likely need a stock purchase agreement. This is a legally binding contract that stipulates all the details of the transaction. This will also cost you money, legal fees or other fees. If you've made a trade, Let us know in the comments below. Would you like to buy or sell shares now? Share your thoughts in the comments. Part 5. Should Aptera syndicate a Reg D offering? In a prior video, I shared with you that on June 30th, 2023, in an SEC filing, Aptera Motors increased the amount of shares they could offer in their Reg D private placement, and they raised it from 2 million to 20 million. Before we get too deep in the weeds, and as a review, let's refresh ourselves with what an accredited investor is. An accredited investor is an individual whose income is over $200,000 a year, or $300,000 for a married couple, or has net worth over $1 million, not including equity in their principal residence. Aptera can directly sell shares to accredited investors under SEC Reg D exemption. How can Aptera maximize the $20 million Reg D private offering? The company could reach out to a financial intermediary, like an investment banker, and syndicate the $20 million Reg D offering. The banker would then reach out to their network of accredited investors and offer them an investment opportunity in Aptera. This could make it much easier and quicker to find buyers for the $20 million Reg D offering that's currently available by letting the bankers do some of the heavy lifting. So, Chris Anthony, I'm looking at you. Consider a syndicated Reg D placement. It may be easier than you think. Remember, friends, there's a link down below and a QR code up here where you can save 30% off your $100 refundable pre-order deposit for your Aptera. Not only does that help you, but it helps me. And don't forget, for every 10th referral I receive, I'm going to randomly pick a comment, and some lucky winner will receive a small gift. So if you haven't reserved your Aptera yet, consider doing so today. That's all I have. I look forward to sharing time with you again soon. And until then, my wish for you is to be well, do good work, and charge on.
Cruising, wingless flight. I love Aptera, it feels so right. The future is now. Protect Mother Earth. Keep her healthy for what it's worth. What's your pleasure, Luna or Soul? Let's save the planet, we're on a roll. Glides down the highway, taking off from the sun. No more drilling, can't you see?